Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you spending some time today with us. My name is Kathy Wellick, and I will be presenting today. And the topic is ensuring your fleet is DOGE-Ready, so strategies to comply with the executive order. Our agenda today is going to include the particulars of the order, the alignment to your mission in your fleet, telling your fleet's efficiency and cost-saving story through data, and leveraging DOGE cost-cutting measures to advance your agenda. First, let's take a closer look at Executive Order 14158. In this executive order, it is talking about establishing and implementing the President's Department of Government Efficiency. With that, the Department of Government Efficiency is an initiative tasked with reducing federal spending. The initiative is established DOGE terms at federal agencies and aims to carry out spending cuts and modernize fleet technology and software to maximize governmental efficiency and productivity. So one of the important parts that we need to make sure as you're getting DOGE ready is making sure that you're taking those key words that they are using, such as reducing federal spending, modernizing federal technology and software, and maximizing efficiency and productivity. Take those keywords out of that section and make sure that that is what you address in any presentations that you give to your DOGE director. In regards to reducing federal spending, let's take a closer look. As you all know, you're all Agile clients, and we have a lot of tools available for us in helping you with the DOGE review. So with this, we invite you to go to our website at agilefleet.com and find our fleet calculator return on investment. And it talks about the vehicle sharing benefits and how much money you can save. Now, throughout this presentation, I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you can calculate savings. But this is a super easy one that you can find very easily on our website. And you'll plug in certain information in regards to what is your average amount of spend for vehicle cost of ownership a year, what's the average disposal value of the vehicles that you sell each year, how many vehicles are in your fleet, and how many vehicles that cannot be shared. With just that simple information, we can calculate out an average reduction of being able to reduce the number of vehicles by 56%, and that would be a savings of $2.38 million in just 10 years. So please use these simple tools that we have online to be able to maximize and show those savings. When they talk about modernizing federal technology and software, you're in good hands with Agile Fleet. So federal, state, and local governments across the U.S. and Canada trust our Fleet Commander Fleet Management Information System to help them automate their fleet operations and expand their motor pools. This can take vehicles, fleets, and so forth that might have hundreds of vehicles and be able to reduce those, whether you reduce, by just a few vehicles or by a lot of vehicles, that is going to make a big difference on your budget and your savings that you acknowledge. Those key buzzwords again: maximize government efficiency and productivity. Using Agile Fleet's powerful web-based Fleet Commander solution allows you to cut costs, right-size your fleet, and take charge of your fleet assets. We must be accountable to the American taxpayers, which almost all of us are. There might be a few Canadians on here just for interest, because we do have some Canadian customers. But when it all comes down to it, we are trying to be accountable to the American taxpayers. So with that, we need to make sure we're saving money and reducing taxes. And we need to eliminate any waste and bloat that we might have throughout the processes. So let's align to your mission. So in these reporting requirements, Covered contracts and grants means discretionary spending through federal contracts, grants, loans, and related instruments, but excludes direct assistance to individuals, expenditures related to immigration enforcement, law enforcement, the military, public safety, and the intelligence community, and other critical, acute, or non-emergency spending, as determined by the relevant agency head. Notification shall be made to the agency's DOGE team leader. So among the groups that are represented here on the call today, chances are that you may have a reporting requirement. We have also noticed that some of the verbiage in the executive order has changed over the last few days. So making sure that you check the executive order often is important. And remember, Agile's value proposition, we identify waste. How do we do that? Those keywords that you can help use to tell that story is Fleet Commander effortlessly captures value fleet utilization data, captures key data about each vehicle trip, and provides dashboards and reports needed to fulfill data requests from internal and external organizations. So there's no need to panic. We have what you need in the system, and we will help you find those reports that you need to identify these things. Prevent and detect fraud and abuse. Fleet Commander communicates and enforces your organization's fleet policies to be able to prevent fraud and abuse. Key system metrics in the form of automated alerts and reports provide insights that proactively identify areas of concern and quantify compliance of fleet drivers. And when they talk about reduced costs, again, fleets cost money, a lot of money, but Fleet Commander helps you maximize utilization of the fleet so that you can do more with less, which is really what they're asking us to do. So every passenger and light duty vehicle is costing you approximately $5,000 annually. Let Fleet Commander help you size your fleet as your staffing needs shrink and grow. Now, one point I want to point out in regards to that $5,000 annually, you are going to adjust that to what the costs are specific to your fleet. So in some of my examples as we go throughout the process today, you might see a couple of different numbers in that area. So those numbers you need to fill in for what is best for your fleet. So for example, when I showed that $2.3 million savings, in that particular example, I used that the passenger vehicles were costing $3,500 per year. In this example, it's $5,000 per year annually. So please adjust accordingly depending on what is your licensing costing, what is your insurance costing, what is your depreciation, and so forth. So there's a lot of fluctuation between fleets. So that is something that you need to decide what number to use. So the opportunity with Fleet Commander is particularly suited for meeting the DOGE-like requirements. You're already capturing data that they want. You're communicating and enforcing policies to avoid fraud. You're reporting to fulfill audit and other needs. You're accommodating large changes in the workforces by upsizing and downsizing. And you're lowering costs by automating and streamlining processes and reducing the size of the fleet. Sometimes when we're in a system day in and day out and have been in that system for years, we sometimes forget about these little things as to what is happening in the background that is actually taking care of these requirements. Sometimes we just take them for granted because we think, oh, we've already done that, right? Or I forgot about that. We do this, this, and this. So what we're trying to do is just bring everything to the forefront of things you might want to think about and take whatever nuggets apply to your fleet and take them back and put them in your DOGE report. So let's do a deeper dive in telling your fleet's efficiency and cost savings story through the data with Agile Fleet. In these examples that I give you, please remember the sources of the reports are on the bottom of the page. That way you know how to run the reports on your system when you want to try and pull the data for your particular fleet. These are actual customer data. I've made sure and removed the client name, but I'm going to talk through these reports so you can understand what you're seeing and what you can report and how that turns into dollars saved for your fleet. So let's take a look at this motor pool utilization. With this look at the utilization, we're really looking to identify opportunities to right-size vehicles, right? And in this example, 89% of the vehicles are consistently used. And the total vehicles that they have active are 322. So when you do the math, that's showing that there's about 35 extra vehicles. Hold on here just a second. I do not know why the screen went blank. So there we go. My apologies. The screen went blank, but we got it back now. So with that, again, there's the ability to reduce by 35 vehicles potentially. Okay. So there's a couple different ways that you can, again, look at motor pool utilization. And another example in this, again, is I'm using 4,500 in annual expense savings for this example. So again, what I'm trying to show is it's different for each fleet, and you need to decide what that number is. So you can take a look at the fact that an average vehicle might cost you $30,000. If you were to take 35 times 30,000, that's a big chunk of change in capital expense that you can avoid by not just replacing vehicle by vehicle, but actually looking at your data and right-sizing your fleet. Then you can take a look at, if you want to just talk about the annual expense savings, you can discuss how, you can save $4,500 annually by not having those additional vehicles in the fleet. So 35 times that annual expense really adds up. Most vehicles in the fleets have a 10-year life cycle in a lot of vehicles that we see. So if you take 4,500, the annual expense savings for one vehicle, and take that times 10 years, that is where you would get 45,000 lifetime expense savings per vehicle. Now, some people, like I said, want to just show the $30,000 number, but you can also use this $45,000 number, depending on how you want to do it. But with the $45,000 number, just please remember we have included depreciation in that. So you don't need that 30,000 doesn't apply if you're using the annual expense method. So again, just a quick look, 30,000 capital expense savings for every one vehicle. For every one vehicle, you reduce 4,500 annual expense savings. If you have 35 vehicles, you can save approximately 1.575 million in 10 years just by that reduction of 35 vehicles. So that's a lot of money that you can show them that you're already saving and right-sizing with. Another way you can look at things too is just the proper type of vehicle. So maybe you don't have too many extra vehicles, but maybe you have the wrong type of vehicle. So for that, you're going to use the motor pool utilization by asset type report in Agile. And again, it says where to get that report on the bottom. But this is going to show you in more detail, are our mid-size cars always being used? Yes, it looks like it. But our compact cars, not so much. So do I need to get more mid-size vehicles and reduce the number of compact cars I have for future? Those are the kinds of decisions that you can make with the reporting that you have available. Another thing that you can prove when you have to prove your numbers to DOGE is you can talk about staff savings with usage and adoption. So when you have a automated key box system and so forth, it is, and or just an automated system to make the reservations, even if you don't use the key box. So it used to be that people were writing down, reservations on an Excel sheet or a piece of paper and having to have their supervisor sign it and then bring it back, and then a dispatcher can make the reservation in the system and so forth. Having Fleet Commander, the user can do all that right away. You can automate all of that, and that saves at least 30 minutes per reservation if you are also automating with the key box. So if you take the number of reservations, these savings dollars here, are based on 30 minute per hour, 30 minutes per reservation savings in time, times the $20 an hour. So your staff savings is in addition to your savings to your vehicles as well. Another very helpful report is just usage and adoption vehicle statistics. How is your fleet looking? Aging by miles and aging by times. This one might be less important in the DOGE world, but is still one that you could show how your vehicles are doing by age. I also wanted to throw in a couple extra slides too of reports you should be using to manage your fleet well. So you might already be using these, but at this point, maybe you haven't heard of some of them, or maybe it's a new report since you first were in Agile, so maybe you want to take a look at it now. But what this sheet here does is it gives you the report name, what that report does, what type of report it is. Is it a statistic? Is it user data? And then it talks to you about how to get to that report, how to navigate to it so you can run that report. So there's a lot of good information on these screens, and these screens will be available and will be sent to you after the presentation has rendered. And here's another page as well, just talking about a lot of the different reports that we extracted from our report vault, per se, that you can use to help tell your DOGE story. Just a reminder too, policy accountability is big on DOGE, like we had talked about. So where in the system do you have that? You have that right here under your home screen under policy accountability. And so you want to make sure that you are doing a good job with your policy and that you are having people sign off on your policy and that you're having them sign off on a regular basis. So with Agile Fleet, no need to worry. You can automate that and it will work very well for you and it will meet the requirements. How do we prevent fraud? So preventing fraud and folks from not using vehicles they shouldn't is by setting up those access groups and usage groups that you have in the system. So now is a great time to review all of those groups that you have set up for your particular fleet and make sure that they are still accurate, or if you need to change any or add any additional, now is a good time to be taking a look at that. So look at your access groups, who has the ability to use these vehicles, and your usage groups. Then again, increase efficiency. So some of you use the key box, key control. Some of you don't. Either way, if you use Fleet Commander without a key box, you are still being much more efficient by having those reservations automated and so forth. But putting in a key box and kiosk takes it to the next level. It really allows your operation to be open 24/7. So you don't have to have staffing there, but they can get keys there. Thus, you can really share a lot of vehicles compared to having to have more vehicles and handing out keys on a Friday for something that, is going to go out on Saturday or something that's going to go out on Sunday. Having the key box is the key to efficiency. because reservations can go in and out and in and out. And exciting news as well is we're getting a new smart plug box, which will be even more efficient in the key box world. So now it comes to leveraging DOGE, right? So let's take those cost-cutting measures that we've talked about that you're already doing, whether you realized it or not. So you already have a lot of tools in your toolbox and a lot that you can use to make your responses to DOGE. But how can you take that and also advance your agenda, right? So with that, you might have certain agendas that you wanted to, potentially increase sustainability efforts or try and add additional policies and so forth. Now's your time to be able to kind of work that in as well. But what we wanted to do here is kind of give you some tips to craft your responses. So from what I've learned about DOGE is DOGE leaders and so forth, they understand their terms, right? So you want to make sure that you're talking their language and not another language. So for example, I am going to read this one for example, but don't say, we have the hardest working fleet team in the business. In 2023, we were ranked 5th in the Best Public Fleet contest. Our shop is amongst the most modern in the state, and we have the lowest OSHA accident rating for small fleets. Last year, more than 35% of new fleet purchases were electric vehicles, 2 years ahead of our electrification goals. Okay, so a lot of these things that DOGE is looking for, they don't want long paragraphs. They want bullet points, right? Like when they were saying they had to do, bullet point 5 things that you did this week. So let's bullet point our responses. So instead of having a big paragraph like that, let's put it into their terms. So an example would be, this is what you could or do say. In 2023, we modernized our fleet technology and software to increase our efficiency and productivity. Again, you'll see those buzzwords that they were using in their executive order, and you're using those same buzzwords back to them with your answer. Modernizing, technology and software, increase efficiency and productivity. So next line, we've reduced spending by X dollar amount in the past 18 months by eliminating waste and bloat. We surplus 21 vehicles out of the vehicle via optimization of existing fleet vehicles. Okay, those X's with those dollar signs, that's where we come into play, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But if you can't figure out your numbers, reach out to us because we're here to help you, right? We're here to help you find those numbers in your system. We've cut costs of labor by X by automating time-consuming fleet costs such as vehicle dispatching, billing, and reporting. With data we now automatically collect via technology, we can provide full transparency and be held accountable for the American public. Again, we're using the words out of the executive order. In 2026, our plans are to further reduce costs by X as we right-size the fleet in light of agency staff reductions. So you're making that adjustment for staffing as well. So let's take a look at another one. So this one is, our software really helps us to be more organized. In the past, we had to use paper and Excel workbooks. Using a purpose-built FMIS is much easier for everyone, and our fleet drivers love it. Again, it's a paragraph and so forth. So let's break that down into little nuggets. So retaining our modern fleet technology and software is critical to our initiatives aimed at reducing federal spending and enhancing efficiency and productivity. In 2026, our plans are to leverage the fleet software to further reduce costs by X as we right-size the fleet in light of agency staff reductions. And there was another one there in the middle too, but I don't want to, for time's sake, I don't want to read each one to you. But again, you'll have this PowerPoint presentation that you can take a look at those. And this last example here was our fleet staff have attended the XYZ Fleet Conference for the past 20 years. We get great value out of it because we get to meet our vendors and collaborate with peers in the fleet community. Okay, so the message in the executive order and some of the other orders that have come out is limiting travel, correct? So let's say travel is requested for the XYZ conference to evaluate modern fleet technology and software proposed for reducing federal spending in the ABC agency fleet. Or attendance at the XYZ conference cut costs to save taxpayers money by evaluating technology from multiple vendors all at one location as opposed to traveling to multiple vendor sites. So you're reducing it to one trip instead of going out and seeing a lot of multiple vendors on individual trips. Upon return from the conference, a written summary of our findings from the trip will be provided to ensure accountability to agency department heads and ultimately to be held accountable to the American public. So you can see how just tweaking the words a little really just helps tell your story. So like many of you did in 2008 and 2009, and many of you did during COVID in 2020, let's turn those crises into an opportunity, right? So what is the silver lining here? So while the uncertainty around DOGE and DOGE-like efforts can be, unsettling and cost-cutting mandates may be present, it presents opportunity, right? There's silver lining in this. You can be pulling assigned vehicles into your pool like you wanted to do. You can be purchasing vehicles, tools, or technology ahead of impeding tariffs. You can get leadership's attention on cost-saving tools and technology. You can advance sustainability measures that provide cost efficiency. You can advance technologies to automate your processes. You can capitalize on the sense of urgency in needing to get things buttoned up or completed or projects done. You can gain support for cost-saving policies that you've been trying to implement previously. And you can garner that support for training and education on cost-saving measures. So it's not doomsday. It's just looking at it through another set of lenses, right? So the silver lining. Everyone can see the headlines and they can panic nowadays and so forth, but when you really break it down, you're already doing a lot of what they're wanting. So you just need to be told or reminded how to tell that story and where to find that information, because you're all already doing a great job. So as a reminder, we are here to help. There's a whole Agile Fleet team behind you. You can reach out to us in many different ways if you have questions on reports or need help putting numbers together. Feel free to reach out to our support team at fcsupport@agilefleet.com. You can contact client success at cs@agilefleet.com. You can contact sales at sales@agilefleet.com. Any of us are here to help. We're here to make your story be told with right factual data coming from your system. With that, are there any questions that we can answer for you today? We only have about 1 minute for questions because I'm trying to make sure that we stay on task, because I know your time is valuable. If anyone has any questions, you can put it in the chat real quick. As of right now, I'm not seeing any. So with that, I would like to thank you for joining us today. I do hope that your DOGE efforts will be a little bit easier. I know it affects everybody at all levels. You don't have to be a federal client to have DOGE affect you. I know different universities, like the former university that I was at and so forth, they're having a lot of cuts because of DOGE as well. So I know the fear is real, but we're here to help you take out that fear and help you see that that silver lining, and that it's going to be okay. And take this opportunity to really take a good look at your fleet and make those changes that you wanted for efficiency purposes. So thank you so much for joining us today. And as always, I wish you a good day and have an amazing rest of the week. And the presentation will be sent out to all attendees after it is done being rendered. And just a reminder as well, our next workshop Wednesday will be next Wednesday, and we hope to see you there. Thank you so much and have a great day.